This week in Israel, the Holy Land, the Parsha Hashavua, the portion of the week is Kedoshim, which will be for those in Chutz La'aretz, outside the land of Israel, next week, which is okay because it's Friday, and so some people won't even get a chance to watch it next week, and it all applies regardless. And I want to talk, there's so much in this Parsha that I absolutely love and want to talk about. I usually can't get off talking about via hafta l'reacha kamocha, to love your fellow as you love yourself. But you can check some of my old videos to see that, even though I always want to expand. But anyway, there's a lot of things that are very important, and like I think we can speak endless, go on and on about the commandments in this week's parsha, but what I want to focus on today, specifically because it speaks to me lately, is this pasuk that talks about, here I'll read it in Hebrew and translate it in English, and then we shall discuss. Lo tisne et achicha belabavcha, hocheach tocheach et amitecha, lo tisa alav chet, lo tikom, lo titor et bnei amecha, v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. So it's in English, it says, you shall not hate your brother in your heart. You shall reprove your fellow and do not bear a sin because of him. You shall not take revenge, and you shall not bear a grudge against the members of your people. You shall love your fellow as yourself. I am Hashem. So I'm not going to focus on the love of neighbor as yourself, but I want to talk about this not hating achicha, your brother, in your heart, because there's a differentiation in a lot of the other things, commandments surrounding it. When it talks about not doing something to somebody else, it might call them re'echa, your fellow, as we see. But here it says achicha, don't hate your brother in your heart. Now, of course, it's talking to one nation, and in one nation we're likely to say, hey, brother, because we fall under the same religion and we share the same God. And so we'll call somebody a brother, but I think it's trying to make a point that's a little more personal. And when we're angry at somebody that we don't know, it's so much easier to tell that person what you think. You're not going to see them again. You don't know them. You have much less at stake. Especially today in the internet, we understand this. We can just say whatever people do, say whatever they want, and don't look back. But it's much different when you have a close relationship with somebody, and somebody's like a brother to you, sister, then you tend to, you could say you're close to somebody, so you're so close, you say whatever you think. But when it comes to anger, is a whole nother issue. And a lot of times, for various reasons, when people are close to each other, they might not want to say what they really think. It could be to avoid the confrontation. It could be worried about jeopardizing all sorts of things. And so a lot of times when people are angry to people they're close to, they might tend to just not say anything. And this will cause extreme negative emotions, anger towards the other person. So when you're close to somebody, you shouldn't, when you say shouldn't you hate them in your heart, and then the next words are that you should reprove your nation. When there are people that are close to you and you're feeling angry, upset, or whatever the emotion is because of something they have done, if you do not express it to them, then it says lo tisa alav chet, don't bear a sin because of him, because the other person, whatever they might have done, intentional, unintentional, you don't know unless you speak it out really what happened, or give them a chance to explain or work it out. Then you're going to end up sinning in some form or another when you let that anger fester within. And that's why the next pasuk says lo tikom lo titor, that you should not take revenge. It should not bear a grudge, because if you don't express yourself, if you don't talk it out, you're going to end up having either bearing a grudge or taking revenge, because it's going to come out somehow. You're going to say or do something that is not good. And then it says, after lo tikom lo titor, then it says ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, which we can expand, but to love your fellow as you love yourself. But what I want to be talking about is that it's difficult. It's really, really difficult when you're close to people, or when people are in the same even group as you, as we see sometimes in certain sects and certain religions, certain things that people aren't likely to criticize their own camp, right? Because it's their brother and they don't want to criticize it. It's part of what they are. And sometimes even if you're talking not on a personal one-to-one level, but even to criticize your own group, the things that you believe in, be it religion or social or political. A lot of times people won't even criticize their own group because it's difficult for them. They feel if they point out something that's wrong, something that they believe in, it pokes holes and opens this whole Pandora's box, and they're scared to do that. But as we see, if you don't reprove whoever it is, your family member, the people who belong to your political party, to your religious party, to your community, whoever it is, if you're afraid to criticize them because you're either worried about confrontation or afraid it's going to bring down or shed light on something that you believe in, it's not doing that. It's trying to work something out, to better something out. If you believe in whatever it is, whatever group you're in, whatever relationship you have, in order to strengthen it, you've got to get rid of the negativity. Look, it's not easy. I am definitely guilty of these things. That's why I focus in on it now, because it's so hard, so uncomfortable, so unpleasant to have a conversation or to bring something out and to discuss things that are painful. They are painful. But that little bit of pain in the short term can save a huge amount of pain and suffering in the end. Because when anger festers, when anger is let to grow and it's not put in check by communication and by working things out, the worst things can happen. The worst things can happen. And it's just not worth it. So I hope I can learn a lesson from these words in this week's Parsha. And I hope that it's valuable to you in some way, shape, or form, that it will help you think twice and try and open a communication with somebody you love, somebody who's close to you, somebody you're having issues with, and improve on that relationship. Because every relationship reverberates out into bigger circles, out into the world, as we know. And we only want good things. Nothing's in a bubble. Shabbat shalom. Take care.